Hello, everyone. Welcome to the masterclass.
Thank you, Laura. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining the masterclass. Thanks, LSDM, for inviting me to give this talk today. My name is Nicholas. You can call me Nico. I'm originally from Brazil. I live in the US. I'm a UX designer. I'm a LSDM alumni. I did the design masters. I finished, if I believe, like a year and a half ago. It's just because a year ago I was in the ceremony in London for the graduation, but because of COVID, it happened a little bit later on. But I finished the degree around a year and a half ago. I'm a UX designer. I live in the US and I work in a company here that provides wireless services, basically like text, data, phones, and anything related to carrier wise. I'm very passionate about what I do, and today we'll be talking about something that scares a lot of designers. It looks very complex, which is design systems. And with that, I can start when we are all ready, Laura.
Yeah, you can go ahead. You can share the screen and then we can start. Yes, please.
Fantastic. Can everyone see my screen? Because I don't see anyone anymore. Oh, I cannot listen to you. Oh, yeah. You're muted.
I can show you. I can see your screen.
Ah, I can see. Okay, perfect.
If anyone does have a problem, please just raise your hand, and we will see if we can fix it. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Yes. Go ahead, Nico.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So, like I said, my name is Nicholas Bochud. I'm a UX UI designer. You can call me Nico. And today we're going to talk about the power of a design system, bringing consistency and development speed to digital products. And as a starter, I would start asking myself, what is a design system? Well, I have a quick but very description that says a design system is an accelerator to create better experiences while saving time and money. Okay, but what does exactly mean? Well, an image can speak for 1,000 words. So this is what you should expect from an idea of a design system. I can see a little bit of typography, H1s, H2s, H3s, body. I see some examples of shadows below it. I see some components like input fields, tabs. I see radio buttons, and gradients and notifications. So I have a bunch of components here. And this is a sneak peek of a design system is. However, if you are already a designer and you have been working already in a few projects here and there, even freelancing, you could also tell me that this also could be a UI kit. So before jumping into more into a design system, I like to draw the line between the difference of those two because it can be mixed a little bit. So what is the difference between a design system and a UI kit? And I'll start with the UI kit because the UI kit is more simple. So this is an example of a UI kit. This is the UI kit for iOS 16 that was released by Apple. Apple does this every year. Every time that Apple releases a new software for Mac, for iOS, for Apple Watch, they release also a UI kit. A UI kit is basically a set of components that other designers can use. So if you're, for example, designing an app for iPhone, you probably need Apple's UI kit, where you can get their notification tabs, you can get their keyboards, so you get all those pieces from the UI from Apple's OS, but you don't dive much into the specifics. You don't get much to Apple's typography exactly, or something more in the back end that is coded for the engineers. So basically, it's just a set of components that can be used to create designs. So what is a design system then that not only a set of components for a system? So a design system includes a defined brand expression and design principles, reusable design resources, and usage guidance. Usage guidance here is very important. And we're going to talk more about it later. reusable coded components and resources. So those coded components, we call them tokens. And later in the presentation, I'm going to go over them as well. We have global patterns and flows, and a governance model for current and future growth. I know there's a lot of jargon in this slide. We will go over, and little by little, this is going to become more clear. So here, again, is a little bit more what you can see in a design system. The principles, components, and patterns, they enable teams to craft consistent experiences faster and at scale. So to start a design system, you need a foundation. This foundation is the governance, the design principle, and the brand guidelines. You need to have this setup. What colors I'm going to use? What is my business about? So that's the foundation, the guidelines for the system. Then you have the design kit. The design kit is basically the patterns, the iconography, components, usage guides, how to use those components. This is mostly what you see in a UI kit. The design kit is basically what you see in a UI kit. But then the design system takes it forward. So in the design kit, you have the technology kit that it's exactly having these atomized structures. We're going to go over this later in the presentation as well. We have coded components. Those are the tokens that I was talking about in the previous slide, which you're going to see with more details later. And we have the demo code. This is basically when you're already exporting all those designs and you're giving them to the developers. So the design system is not just one, but is the foundation with the UI kit plus the technology kit. And because the design system, it's so complex, but also so complete for any software, design systems increase speed to market by 28%. That's almost a third of the time that you would use. And in a daily basis, I would say that the speed can even be more than by 28%, depending how efficient is your system. So let's talk more about the benefits of a design system. So let's start with quality and consistency. A design system will facilitate a consistent user experience and brand expression across multiple properties. Why? Because you're going to have the brand guidelines, the theme file, sending all this information about colors, typography, shadows, spacing, giving all these rules. So you have a consistent design. In a consistent design across all platforms. Accelerated delivery. Reduce need to reinvent on a product by basis. Reusable components allow deployment of universal functionality. Exactly because already all the components created and you have been already deploying those components, the engineers already have them created in the code. You don't have to keep recreating a button. You don't have to keep recreating an input field. Their size, color, thickness of the border, any style that you want to add, this is already ready to be using any page you need. And because of that, you can focus on your users. Free designers and developers should focus on a specific challenge of the product area because you don't have to keep fixing issues or finding solutions for problems that have been already been fixed. And because of that, the maintainability at scale. You ensure products built with the design system can easily or automatically, and we'll see that in a demo, inherit improvement and fixes, meaning that you have 20 pages and you need to change one button. With the design system, you just need to change that button once. And a ripple effect is going to change the same button in the 20 pages. You don't have to go over them manually. The design system connects everything to the file that basically feeds all that information. And because of that, 48% efficiency savings for front-end development. But you may be asking, okay, a design system seems amazing, but how to create one? Where do I start? There's a methodology called atomic design that I would love to go over. So this atomic design methodology is a way for you to basically start building your design system in an organized way, okay? And it's set by different categories, by atoms, molecules, organisms, templates, and pages. It feels a lot of jargon. It's a lot of jargon right there. It looks complex. I promise that it's not. We start creating the design system with the atoms. After we have the atom set, a group of atoms will become the molecules. And this group of molecules will become an organism. And with the organism, molecules, and atoms all together, we can create templates and then pages. But what are atoms? This is a perfect example of atoms. We have buttons, we have checkboxes, we have input fields, and we have an accordion. Those are very clear and straightforward examples what atoms are. Atoms are the base form of a component. Just a button, just an input field, just a checkbox. It's basically them individually being created. Those we call atoms. So what are molecules? Molecules are going to be when I start putting those components together. So let's start with a navbar, like with the header. I have a logo, I have a link, I have text, and I have an icon. I put them together, I have a molecule. If I look to the modal on your left, where it says title goes here, I have a box with two input fields, a button, and a body text. This is a molecule. This group next to it for the credit card information and personal information for a checkout page, this is also a molecule. I put different input fields together, and now they became a group. The group of those input fields that were just atoms, now they become a molecule. And next to it, I have a content box. When I flip the content box, when I have the content blocks, is also a molecule. So I have an image, I have a button, and I have the text. So, and then when we keep going, we have organisms. Organisms are going to be a group of molecules and atoms together. As I work in a wireless company providing data, text, and calls in the US, here is two examples of two organisms. The first one is the checkout page, where you have billing info and order summary. For example, the billing info, like we saw it before, is a molecule, this group of input fields. The order summary is another molecule. When I put, an organism, a molecule. When I put those molecules together, I have an organism. An organism is these two molecules together. The same happens in the page next to it. Look into this product page with the Samsung Galaxy S21 5G. I have so I have the image of the phone in one side, and on the other side, I have options to pick color and to continue. Those are two organisms put it together to build those molecules together to be an organism. I hope it's clear. And if you keep going, then we have page templates. Page templates are basically organisms with molecules and atoms all together. Usually when you have templates, as you can see here, those templates, they really look like basically pages, but it's just because where I work, we work a lot with the marketing team, so we get a lot of the final content already. But a page template doesn't need to have the content already. Like, for example, if you look for the hero for these two pages, you see on the left, in the right corner, hi, name, and the icon in the header. This means that it is a template. When I look to anything that is written in this page, I could just have a dummy text. Or when I go to products, just product 1, product 2. It's just because we work with marketing, so we tend to build our pages. Our templates, they look very final, but they don't have to. The templates are more about putting those components together and less about the content inside of them. It's just because here is a very specific environment where we work very close with the marketing team. And then we have pages. Pages are basically when everything's done and you have the content inside the templates. So those are real pages for plans and from product on the product detail page where the page is already published It's using our components, our organisms in the template. The marketing team just added the content there and the page was published. So with that said, we can see that a design system is a critical central source of truth and all the resources necessary to deliver consistently and efficiently. And with that being said, I would love to show a real design system, and that's the one that I'm working currently, which is the Boost Mobile design system. Boost Mobile is the name of the company. But I will save this information closer to the end, not because it is not important, actually it's very important, but for us to understand now the whole base of a design system. I was talking about atoms, molecules, which they are the first step to create a design system, yes. But before the design system is in place, we need something called the theme file. And the theme file has to come before anything else, because on the theme file is where you're gonna set your color palette. You're gonna set your typography. Remember earlier when I was talking about tokens and how everything has to be coded for the design system to be considered a design system and work across multiple platforms? So those tokens here, they are basically snippets of CSS. And so when the developer is creating the code of this design, instead of assigning the name of a color to a component, we are assigning a token. So let's check the second token of the core colors, the one in orange, the second line. We have interactive UI, interactive 01 is a primary color, that's the role. The value of that color is 0F62FE, and the example is an orange color. Without this token, the way that I could code this in the CSS would be just to add the value of the color. But this is very, if you have multiple brands, or if you work with apps or with websites that have different themes, like a dark theme and a light theme, then you're doubling the work. Because if I'm putting in the code exactly the code of the color, I'm saying that this color is orange and I put the code of the color, it means that if I want to recode that orange to be a different orange in a dark mode, I have to recode the page because I'm using the value of the color. Now, if I create a library and I use a token called interactive01, I can create a whole another theme file and just change this orange to blue, let's say. And depending where the source is coming from, I don't need to recode the page at all because it's using interactive01. The only thing that I'm assigning a different color to the same code. So you just have to code the page once. And then you can go to any theme file that you need. And the same happens with typography as well. In the right corner is just an example how you see on Figma, when you start creating this theme file, how you can see those options inside the tool. First, we have text styles, and at the bottom, we have color styles. This is other examples of what you can find inside a design system. You have spacers, for example, and it's very important to know that even if you're not going to use all those spacers, let's say the space that is 160 pixels, it's good to know that it's better for you to start overseeing future needs, and then you can already start creating and building this in the theme file. But it's also important to know that you don't have to create everything beforehand. It's a living file. So as you keep working and as you find new needs, you can just go back and then you add extra spacing. For example, if you're now using a spacing that is 300 pixels, for example. Next to it, we have the color palette, which also belongs to the brand guidelines inside the theme file. So we can understand all the shades, for example, of orange that I can use in my system, and then even pick the ones that have that work well with other colors, that has the correct level of to work. To be consistent and to be accessible. And now I'll go back a little bit to go back to the atoms like we were talking about before, but here is a real life example of how complex the design system as you start building, it can get. So let's start with the buttons here with the screenshot from Figma. You can see that I have a lot of different examples of buttons. And why do I need all of those? Because once you create a button in a design system, you cannot just have one button. You need to have the states of that button. Those states could be default, hover, click, focus mode, disable, or skeleton when you're still loading the page. And this button can have different sizes. It can be large, it can be medium, it can be small. I can have a button that is just text. I can have a button that is text and an icon. And then you have the primary buttons, and then you have the secondary and the tertiary and the ghost buttons. And all those buttons, they have to be classified with all their states, because that's how when you create a system, it's not only consistent, but you don't have to recreate those buttons in the future. You have everything that you need right here. If we go to drop downs, it's the same thing. We have the drop down that is the default. We have the one that is hover, focus. We have the one that is enabled. With drop downs can even get more complex, because with drop downs, sometimes you need to have arrow states. If you keep looking for the drop downs, you can see like right in the middle, you see ones with red is a drop down that has an error message. And then have drop downs with also different sizes, large, medium, small. So we have to consider that we need the states and all the possible variations that this component may need in a real page. And next to it, we have toggles. They're more simple, more still. We have the toggle enable, disable. We have the toggle on, the toggle off, and it still goes on. But sometimes specific components can be pretty straightforward, like checkboxes. There's not much related to checkboxes. It's just basically disable, enabled, hover, and clicked. And links next to it can be even shorter. Here I just have the link enabled, hovered with focus mode, disable, or in the purple one is after you click a link and then you go back to the page, the link is going to show up as a purple color. This is some real life examples of molecules that I'm currently working. So the first ones will have some message tiles that I use in the My Account website. Next to it, I have payment rows. Those are clear examples of molecules where we have icon, we have a toggle button, we have a text. Them together, they become a molecule. We have payments. It's a group of input fields with one button that makes a molecule. And that's an example of an other summary that is also a molecule, because I'm grouping those atoms together. Those are the same examples that I gave earlier about organisms. I think that's the most clear one, where I have two molecules here. We have the billing info and other summary put together, which becomes an organism. Next to it, I have the description of the phone with the details, buttons, and then we have a picture of the phone, like a carousel. That are saying put it together, and this becomes an organism. And now I would like to quickly show you a quick demo of just an idea how a design system works and how powerful it can be. I have created this dummy file. Let it load. Let me delete all this from here.
Hi, Nico. Just, I'm not sure is everyone okay with the size? Maybe if you can.
It's too small.
Zoom, yeah, it'll be maybe better to kind of zoom when you do the demo. Yeah, that's much better. Yeah.
That's much better?
Perfect. Yeah, if anyone wants it a little bit more bigger, just please let me know in the chat. Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you, Nico.
So, no, of course. So here, for example, I have a checkout page. That's the page template. That's not the final page, and is a desktop version of it. And one of the very important thing about a design system is that you needed to make it responsive. So for example, I can shrink it I can coming back, and all the components are responsive. However, there's a limitation on where I can go with this component. So if I try to shrink it a lot, you can start to saying that, yeah, it gets kind of weird. So I cannot right away transform this desktop page into a mobile page. So let's turn it back here to a desktop version. And let's say that my manager came to me 5 minutes ago and said, we need a mobile checkout page, but we still don't have one in the page templates. Can you create one for me? That is not an issue. With the design system and the way that we already oversee future needs, we have basically everything created in a way that, let's say, I'm copying this page. So I have a second page here. And what I'm going to do, I'll shrink this. I will just move this. Oh, here. Perfect. I'll start shrinking this page like I was doing with the other one, just to keep like desktop next to mobile. And you can notice that as soon as I start shrinking over width of 400, yeah, no, this is not a page anymore. Well, but this is a component. This is an organism that are saying. This is an organism of two molecules together. Same here. Because I already knew that I might need in the future a mobile page here, I can go to inside Figma where I can access everything that I need from my design system, and I can select instead of desktop, I want mobile. And it already stacked everything. I can be more specific and go to the checkout, call it mobile, and set 390 width because that's an iPhone 14. I click inside the component. I want to make it centralized, and that's it. In 2 minutes, I was able to have a mobile screen just next to a desktop one. If I didn't have the whole system set up, I would be here at least for 45 minutes, just reorganizing all these components together. Another thing that is a time saver when you have a design system is that I can come here and, for example, I have a blue button in the checkout, but this might be wrong because my color is orange. So if I go to the items, let me just do this quickly. This is the button that I'm using, and I publish this library. I was going to publish a lot of stuff, so let's select exactly what we need. 1 second. Figma sometimes behaves weird. Let's review. Let's update the button. I have this button in orange. But let's say that I go back to the items, and this is my items file where I have all my buttons. And I know that the button that I'm using is this one here, just because I'm the gatekeeper of the file. And let's say that I have to change this button to purple. It takes a while because it's a very heavy file. I published this library. I just want a dip button because otherwise those streams are going to take very, very long. I'm going to publish. The publish can take some time. And sometimes the publishing can take a very good few minutes if you're publishing a lot of different components and a lot of changes. But what you have to think about is that even if it takes 15 minutes for you to change the color of a button inside the design system, imagine if you have all these pages inside your tool. I'm using Figma, it could be Sketch, could be Adobe XD. And you have 30 pages to change the color of that button. That's going to take way, way more than those 5 minutes here because it creates a ripple effect. So now that I publish this library, I go to my dummy file and I get a component update. When I check review, it says the color of the button change. I update all and the button becomes purple. If I were to have, again, like 50 pages, all pages will be updated right away as soon as I made a change in the design system. Let me go back to the presentation. close to the end. So with that being said, IBM Cloud Platform has a case study in 2020 that they said that in average, 80% efficiency improvements in individual component implementation. As we could see, if I were to change the colors of all those individual buttons, it would take probably more than an hour, depending how many pages I have. And here it took 2-3 minutes total. And here, those are great resources that I would love to recommend if you want to know more about design systems. And about design systems, there are not only they are very solid design system, and they are exporting this information for even other companies to use their design system as a base. The first one is called Polaris. It's from Shopify. You can get the file. You can play it around. The next one is from IBM. It's called Carbon Design System. It's a very good one as well to get your feet wet. If you want to try a little bit, if you want to make a copy of their files, they make it available for you to play around, learn how to do it, create design using their componentry, and then just feel and learn how they set up their components. And Salesforce, their design system is called Lightning. Another great source of resource, another source, it's Token Studios. This one is available for Figma. And when I was talking earlier about tokens and how they connect colors, they connect typography. So here, it's basically if you want to have different themes, if you're creating a design and you want to have like a dark mode and a light mode, and you're using tokens, you don't need to duplicate your design. You just need two design themes, and just one page of every single software you're designing, because the idea of the design studio is that with one click, you can transform your whole designs into light and dark modes, or even into different brands. Is a fantastic tool. They have because it's more like a plugin for Figma. They have their pricing, but they also offer like free versions for you to try it and to use this with. You can even download Token Studios, download Carbon from IBM, and start playing with this today, just to have an idea how this system connects. And as you do it, you learn more and more. It becomes more clear how it works. And with that being said, I can say that design systems make it easier for people to do the right thing, because you don't have to think about what I'm going to do with that button. We have to create a new button or a new component, a new input field. No, you can focus on the user and in the flow that you have to create, how to make it easier for the user to go through a flow, like a buy flow if they are buying a phone, or if they are registering, creating an account, how you can create this register, this login easier for the user. You don't have to think about to recreate an input field that it has been used for the whole platform. Thank you. My name is Nicholas. You can call me Nico. That's my email if you want to contact me, if you have more questions. And I'll go to questions, and thanks for signing up for this masterclass.
Yes, thank you, everyone. I mean, I know it was just such a short notice. We only published it on Monday. But thanks to Nico, he actually managed to get everything ready in such a short time. Does anyone have a question? Because I have quite a few. So I would let you go first if anyone has a question. Yes, it was super interesting.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so if no one has a question, I will start with my questions. So what's the difference, Nico, with tokens and color codes? Why would we choose a token?
Let's go there. Let me open the slide, and I will zoom in so it's easier for us to see. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So the value of the color, like for example, when you're coding a page with HTML and CSS, you can use the color of the code. And then if I'm saying that a button is #0F62FE, it means that the button is going to be orange. Perfect. Correct. If I were to say that this button is hashtag 393939, it means that it would be this navy blue. Correct. But let's say that I'm working with, like, nowadays it's very common to have like light and dark themes in our phones. So we usually use dark themes during the night, light themes during the day. It saves our eyes, it's good. But without tokens, I would have to code the same page.
Okay, I think I understand. So because otherwise we're gonna have to create new codes for new themes.
For new themes, because you're using the value. But if I use a token, and this token is called Interactive 01, and I'm saying that this token is using the light theme, it means that the button is going to be orange. If I say that the Interactive 01 is using dark theme, it could be, for example, blue. So what it means that I don't have to code the page twice. Using tokens is an easy way for you to switch themes just based on which theme is feeding this token. But the token never changes. So you don't have to recreate the code. You just have to switch the source. Is my source light theme? Is my source dark theme?
Yeah, by changing the token. I'm just fascinated by this because I've just like started learning about e-commerce and creating websites, and like at some point in life I want to have my own brand. So I was kind of researching, and it is such a deep sea when you kind of create a website, especially if you have more than like one or two products. You're gonna have like hundreds of pages and hundreds of products. Like these marketplaces, like like eBay or Amazon, they have like millions. I don't know how many pages they have that people like click on every day. Imagine just like trying to not have the system that can change everything at once and having to go through every page. It would be such a nightmare. I think one more question. So does Shopify use this system? Do they have something like that in place?
Yes. So Shopify uses this theme called Polaris. And you can go there and you can see all the foundations, the design, the content, patterns, components, tokens, icons, and then everything's available for you to take a look and play around. And like they say in their website for their design system, it's build, contribute, and evolve. And that's a very important thing for a design system, is a living file. It's constantly evolving, it's constantly changing, it's constantly, I won't say becoming bigger, because that's the point that if there's a change in your business, you might stop using certain components, but you start using other ones. Yeah. So that's the best part about like a design system, is that you don't do it once. It's over time, you'll be constantly changing. And that's why it's very important for when you have like a UX team working, it's good for you to have a person that is the gatekeeper, a person that oversees the design system as a whole, understanding as a whole, and like can manage changes in the system, because we don't want this open system also to be changed by anyone. Otherwise, it becomes messy, inconsistent. And the whole idea of being consistent is that you have also someone taking care of that system and making sure that all new components being created in the future, they also follow previous guidelines.
Well, that's my question, and like the end of my question. Anyone else has a question? I've got Kofi here. He said thanks for the presentation, and Shenya said it's very interesting. Anyone else has a question? I mean, I had an idea, but I don't know if I should share it. Maybe I need to make sure that Luis is recording, because I don't think it's been done yet. But can this system actually be used to create something that will automatically organize my iPhone? Like, for example, I downloading apps all the time, but I want my apps to be organized in certain ways. I want them to be color coded as soon as I download the app, without me having to create folders and drag them and organize them. Is there something like that?
So that wouldn't be exactly a design system. That would be more like a feature that Apple should create for you to organize your apps by name or by color of the icon or by type, but that wouldn't be exactly a design system. That would be most like a feature that organize your apps.
Okay,
but
so
a design
sorry, go ahead.
But a design system, for example, one example, we were talking about a UI kit earlier. Something that would be like a design system for Apple is for Apple to reinforce, for example, and I'll jump some slides, that all the toggles are this shade of green with this size. So it doesn't matter if you're using third-party apps or apps from Apple, that's the color of your toggle. And also this is like, and this goes more like to a design system oriented choice that you can just come, that Apple reinforces that that's the toggle. Or for example, something that also comes with the design system is, for example, the way that Apple uses, for example, your notifications now with the, with the, what is that? I never remember the name that Apple gave to this new feature. I think it's Dynamic Island. This one here in the new iPhones. Yeah, that's the name, Dynamic Island. Yeah. It's a dummy name. But so this is more like a design system oriented kind of choice. So how you're gonna create a pattern for all your notifications. So they all look the same. You are just changing the content that is inside.
Okay. Okay. So if Apple does that, I can actually sue them. Because I said the idea.
I cannot.
Can you all be witnesses?
I cannot be a witness. But
well, this is amazing.
For example,
well, now we understand. We kind of understand like the difference as well, that there are other kind of software and other things that we can implement that are different to kind of design system as well.
And for example, I want to show you a page. Let's see if I have it here. Oh, I don't have it here. But for example, when you say that you're studying e-commerce, right? So when you go to an e-commerce, like for example, for an e-commerce, you have all those cards that you have the picture of the phone, you have the name of the phone, and usually you have like a CTA saying buy it or check it, go to the product listing page. There's something that is that goes to the design system. Like for example, let me see if I have it here. Let me go to assets. I'll go to page template. Let's see if I have a page here to show. This is one example. This is a page template that was created based on different components, and all those cards, they respect the same style. So it's basically it's a title, it's a price with a description, and with a button. But when you have like a design system, I have to understand that this card will have different states. That is not only one state of the card. So when I create different states, I can actually come here and make changes. For example, I can make it hover. When you hover the button, it becomes orange. Or I can make it disable if this plan is not available. And now you see, if you're in this page, clearly you cannot select this plan because maybe you're not eligible. Or I can go to current. Current one means that that's my plan now. I cannot change to this one. So this is another thing that comes from the design system, is that you have to think all the potential versions of anything that you're creating.
Yeah. For example, somebody that hasn't completed their contract, so they can't actually move to another thing. So I will have to automatically on that platform kind of set up that is not changeable. Very interesting. We've got Stamato as well. He's saying your presentation was great. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Yes, it was very, very kind of useful as well, kind of to understand how these things work behind the scene. Thank you so much everyone for attending, and Nico, thank you so much again for like doing this in such short notice. And it's very interesting, and I think very useful for people that are interested in like e-commerce or creating a website or a blog, or just working on websites and screen services. If anyone else wants to add something, I think we are good to go. No, we don't have any comments. I think I asked too many questions. I won't even dare to because I think people are like, it's great. Thank you. It's like, Laura, stop asking questions. Well, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the day, Nico. And hopefully maybe we'll see you in an open day.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Laura.
Perfect.
Thanks, LSDM,
Thank you
for
everyone for
inviting me.
attending. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Bye-bye.